All right, great. So there's normally a 10-second feed so that you can be able to just correct some things if you want, edit a couple of things if you want. But welcome to this YouTube channel, Kavutha. I'm so delighted to host you, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm glad we are finally getting a chance for you to share your experience. My name is Sarah Muindi. I am a therapist. I'm currently a student at Loughborough University studying business psychology, and I love to talk about travel, studies, business, mental health, leadership. So if you like that kind of content, you can consider subscribing to this channel. So today we are going to be having an amazing guest. Her name is Kavutha Janet. Drum rolls, please. Okay, I don't know how to edit so that you can put drum rolls. But Kavutha, thank you so much for choosing to be here. We can begin with you just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about you, which uni are you at, what are you studying, and then we can dive into the questions.
Okay, so professionally, I'm a wildlife researcher and master's degree in biology. And yeah, I love traveling and yeah, I love to see everyone winning in this life because we are here for the good things that life has to offer.
Amazing. Thank you, Kavutha. So, what got you first of all into wildlife and that kind of career?
Uh, okay. Yeah, so actually my undergraduate degree is in forestry
Okay.
and yeah, so as much as my degree was in forestry, but there are one or two units that I took on wildlife. But we all know how the market, the job space in Kenya is as a fresh graduate. So before I graduated, I took short courses in GIS. Still, I was in Egerton University. So after I graduated, it was really hectic for me to get an internship at big organizations that deal with forestry. So luckily enough, I got a placement in one of the private farms that does surveying and mapping. So I can say that was the starting point of my career. I was there for I think for a year and some months. Then I transitioned to something else. So a friend of mine referred me to an organization that's it's called Friends of Nairobi National Park, where now I became an intern for I think close to 6 months. So then after that, life kidogo happened. I took a 1 year break to deliver my son, and so coming back, I still got into the surveying and mapping world for a couple of, I think, a year or so. Then in 2020, actually, so of my friends applied for the Chevening Scholarship and he got it. He was working at Friends of Nairobi National Park. So he actually called me one day and asked me, would you want to replace me at my current job? You've been here, you know how things are done. At first I was hesitant because it's a space that's full of white people, and I was this girl, I can say still naive, not much experience in this world. So I was sort of hesitant, but he encouraged me and told me it's something that you can do. You learn in the job, and no one is ever ready for anything. Yeah, so that's how I can say I got into I took a like second step into conservation, but now full time. So I worked at that organization for a year. Then later on, I got an opportunity to volunteer with Kenya Wildlife Service in the National Wildlife Census. So I can say that opportunity is one that got me now to understand the importance of understand how wildlife research is done. So I was there for a period of 4 months. Then after that, I now got a job with the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, where I did giraffe research for the last 18 months. And yeah, so my work at FONAP, my work at GCF is what I used, because I underwent, like, I can say I underwent a rapid or massive career and self growth within that period of time. And I got to meet people, discover a lot of things. I was inspired, I was mentored, and yes, so here we are today. So I can say, in short,
Thank you, Kavutha, for sharing your work. And I'm so fascinated that there is actually an organization that studies giraffes. I'm like, okay, well, sisi watu wa kuenda giraffe mana, we are on the corner. Thank you, Luendo and Eclipse Media, for joining us. If you're just joining this live, please engage with us in the chat and tell us where you're joining us from, as we are taking this conversation a couple of steps further. So, Kavutha, tell us a bit about what led you to this chevening path. What led you to decide, okay, I want to apply for chevening? What got you on the process?
okay. So one thing I can tell everyone who's planning or in the process of application, or just anyone, any young person out there, they matter a lot. For the first time, when my friend was applying for this scholarship, of course I was so happy for him. He's going abroad to study, but that was in 2020. In that particular moment, I didn't think like I had enough So of course he told me apply in 2020, but I didn't have the confidence, so I let it pass. So when he went, we kept in touch, and he kept telling me, I think you're doing great things, so you can give it a shot. Again, there's a lot of imposter syndrome that I had to fight along. But I think then I met the second person who was sort of closer to him, and as we continued engaging, now I got the confidence to actually look into and even like work on some essays. That was in 2021. And the reason why I'm saying like your surrounding matters is because if you have people around you who make big things look achievable, like they normalize these things can only be gotten from people from mass. No, you need people around you who are making you can also do it. If my friend did this, I can do it. And people who keep pushing you and encouraging you. So I can say like having those two people in my circle, applying for the Chevening Scholarship and getting, and also I got also another third person. Okay, they tried Chevening, they didn't get, but they tried another scholarship and they got. So these are people that I worked with in the office, close to 1 or 2 years. So I can say my biggest push was from them. If you see your friends winning, it gets to you automatically. You get into that space. So again, when I joined my last organization, hey, I got to know that my boss got his PhD at the age of 32. By the time I was joining that organization, I was 29. So this news actually got me thinking, what have I been doing with my life all along? So those are some of the things I'm saying, like you are surrounding the people you hang out with matters a lot, you see. So I got really curious, and good thing I had an awesome boss who was willing to make me understand how these things are done, how you can get to your masters, how you can get PhD opportunities. And yes, and yeah, I think also the biggest thing and the biggest motivation is myself, always having that zeal and determination, and always having the push from you yourself to do better. Because yes, the people around you, they can tell you, you are doing great things, you should try this, you should apply for this. But if you don't believe in yourself, there's nothing's going to happen. No step is going to be taken. So the biggest the biggest mountain is yourself, actually. So if you put it in your mind that I want this, I want to try it, and I want all the problems and all the good things that come with it, then now around you, they say, like, there's a saying that goes, when the student is ready, then the teacher shows up. So if you're not ready, no matter how many teachers show up, you'll always be the one to tell stories. Oh, I used to work with this one, he got Chevening. I used to work with this one, he went to study here. Don't be the person who tells people's achievements. Be the person who tells people's achievement with yourself one included. You say, I have a friend who's studying in the University of Loughborough. She's doing this and this, and personally, I'm in Kent, I'm doing this and this. So yeah, make sure your story is one of those success stories as well.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for challenging us. I didn't think this live would begin with people shouting, but yes, if you have not heard, please, it's your opportunity to hear. Hussein, thank you for joining us. Kiprono, thank you. Economist Mutua, thank you for joining us from Kitengela. Hi, Diana. Economist Mutua is saying that's our wife saying. Thank you, guys. Please continue engaging with us in the chat. It really, really excites me when I see like comments. So if you're joining the live, please let us know where you're joining us from. It would be amazing for us to hear. So that's how you started the Chevening journey and got on the path. Seeing other people at your workplace that had already gotten the Chevening scholarship and others that had gotten other scholarships, and a boss that had a PhD at 32, and you're 29 and you're wondering, what have you been doing with your life? Okay, all right. What was the application process for you like?
So yes, so like I said, I'd given it a shot in 2021, but I wasn't 100% with my essays. So in 2022, I actually I didn't go back to those essays. I started afresh, and um I looked, because I had friends around me who could review my essays. I got as many people out there, those who didn't know me personally, to review my essays. You see, because yes, having your friends around you review the essays for you, they want the good for you, but there's something that they might miss. Maybe they want to make your essays too harsh. But I can say, if you are in this process, get as many people who are willing to help you. I remember there's a time during the process, I joined a Zoom meeting that had Cheveners from back in, I think, 2012, 2014. And these guys were happily giving out their email, send your essays, we will review them. Yeah, so I got like 3 people who reviewed my essays. And one thing you can always, when a number of people review your essays, you actually get perspective, because they're going to give you ideas, something that someone else overlooked because maybe they didn't see it. It will, someone else will point it out. So it helps to have as many people review your essays. And don't forget, actually, the baseline, the baseline is having someone in your field review your essays, because they get to advise you on current issues, what is happening, what is the future programs in that space. And yeah, you get like a better understanding of your field of work, because that is one thing that you really have to have it tick tick. If do as much research as you can in your field of study, because those are the questions that will be asked during the interview, and also they need to really come out in your essays. Yeah, so I can say, so I got my application process is having people review my essays. And also, like I said, guys, imposter syndrome, as much as for me that is something that I struggled with a lot. As much as I had a number of people reviewing my essay, I will still read through them and I'm like, "Ah, I think there's something missing." especially career goals essay. So that one, because I submitted my essays the last day, the deadline on the deadline, that is when I completed my application. So I remember a day too, my boss asking me, "Have you sent in your Chevening application?" And I was like, "I'm still struggling with my career essays," and he was like, "Send it to me, and I look at it." So I sent it to him. He reviews. Then I go through it. Of course, I accept some things I change, and yeah. So my career essay, I can say that is one that I struggle with, and mainly because for me, someone in the wildlife conservation space, I found it. I don't know about other people, but I found it really tricky for me to link my field of work with the UK priority areas. So they're talking about health, they're talking about health, they're talking about water, they're talking about energy. So me in the wildlife conservation space, I had really to do a lot of research and look into issues, so that I can bring out the UK. I can show how my field connects with the UK priority area and convince these Chevening people that the life of wildlife matters. Yeah, if I can say that. Yeah, so I really had to do a lot of work in my career goals essay. Yeah, but I think at last I was satisfied with my essays, and yeah, I sent out the application and totally forgot about it. Then
Mm-hmm.
actually, I don't think Sarah, you know this, but that email on listing for interviews, it totally caught me unaware. I didn't know that was happening.
What?
I was anticipating for that shortlisting email, but it was uh, a decline. So in 2022, when I totally forgot about it. Then now when the email came on 13th of Feb, I normally tell people that was my Valentine gift.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so 13th on February, in the evening when I came from work and I was just going through my emails, and I'm like, wow, do not reply, Chevening. Hey, you've been shortlisted. Then I was like, wow, actually this is happening. Then
Yeah.
one thing I can tell you is that so because of my doubting, by the way, if you're in this process, my friend, believe in yourself. Like, go through this process like you've ushapata, like you've already gotten this thing, even with the university applications. So one thing that I can say, sort of like I beat myself in the foot, was when it came to the university selections. So I sort of disregarded my university application. And I can tell you, the only reason I applied for the University of Kent I started that application in December, writing my personal statement. The only reason I applied is because I knew, like, that holiday my bosses were going to be around, because they were based in a different country. So I knew that holiday they were going to be around, and I could talk to them about them helping me get sponsorship or support from this big organization to go to the University of Kent. Trust me if I tell you now that my idea when I was applying to the University of Kent was not for the Chevening from other conservation organizations, but who is God?
Wow. I didn't know that, Kavutha. I didn't
I
know
tell you,
that.
those prayers that you pray once and you forget them.
Hmm. I didn't know that University of Kent was you are like, let me pick this university because even if I don't get Chevening, I'm still my bosses might help me get in. Thank you, Sydney. Yes.
Yeah.
Anu, thank you for joining us from Nigeria. Talash from Chiromo, Lindiwe from Malawi, Sam from Kitui. Thank you for joining us. There's like two questions from Mutua who's asking a couple of questions. I'm also just intrigued that you made your application on second. The deadline was 2nd November of
Yeah.
2022, and the application opened in August. You know.
Yes. So, like I was saying, imposter syndrome, I was struggling with my essays,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I wanted to have as many people review my essays. And one thing, like Sarah, if someone is reviewing your essay, you can't really rush them.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's why like I was depending on many people. So
Mm,
actually the first three essays I was satisfied with them, I think like 2 weeks to the deadline. But the
mm,
career goals essay, I was like,
yeah,
I'm not fumbling on this. I
yeah.
will wait until when it makes sense to me. That is when I will submit. So that is the reason why it took somehow long, and I was like, the last day,
Yeah, too
Kenyans with
so long.
deadlines.
Well, for me, I applied 2 days before. So on I think the 31st of October is when I made my submission, and I'm
Mm.
really happy your submission went through because that last day that system normally hangs like not in business. So hey, please, thank God. So Muto is asking,
Mm.
after you failed to hit the 2021 cohort, did you use the same reviewers for 2022 application? Muto, I think you didn't understand. So Kavutha did not make an application in 2021. She made the
No, actually,
you
I
did.
submitted. Yeah, I
Ah,
submitted, but yeah, that's why I was saying I was so waiting for the email on shortlisting. But in
mm,
2022, when I submitted, I totally forgot, and the email caught me unaware.
ah,
So yeah, for that question, yes. So I used the same reviewers and added more. So in 2021, I only had two or one. I suspect I had two or one. Yeah,
mm,
so I used the same because there were people in my field. And yeah, so in 2022 I added more. Like from joining Zoom calls and getting people who are sharing their emails and saying you can send your essays, I will review. And yeah, like anyone that told me who I could see like they have good English skills and they're interested in mentoring someone, even in conferences, in meetings. If I had a discussion with someone and we talked about either pursuing further studies and all that, and I would ask them, would you be willing to review my essay? Because at the same time I was struggling, I was working on my writing skills. So anyone that I would deem as they're really good in English and in writing and in reviewing stuff, yeah, I would approach them and ask them, would you mind reviewing my essays? Yeah.
oh, this is new information. I keep learning new things every day. I've just accepted that that is my reality. I didn't even know that this was the second time that you are applying for Chevening. So Kavuda,
Mm,
as there are some two other questions I've picked from the guys that are joining the chat. I know there are more people that are joining this live. Please use
mm.
the chat and just let us know where you're joining us from. We'd be delighted to see the representation for this live. Kavuda, what do you wish that someone had told you when you were making your application?
Um, yeah. So one thing I wish I knew is the choice of universities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, choice
Mm,
of universities, because that thing really almost messed me up. Sarah, you know that story.
yeah.
Yeah. So I can say, number one, believe in yourself. And when you work on these essays, submit them, then embark on the doing research for the university. Actually, there's time. So you can do as much research on the universities as you can early, so that when listing your universities, because Chevening allow during the interview, they allow you to either introduce a new university or change your course, but you can't be changing two universities or three, all of them, right? You can only change one university, you see.
Yeah.
And yeah, so work on your essays, at the same time do proper research on your universities. Even if they'll contact those lecturers, they're always happy to help and answer questions. So make sure there are universities that the course actually gets a good number of students. That is number one, because I think I've heard of a case where a university had to turn down students because the admission that year and the previous year was really low. So I think they decided they're not going to invest money in that particular course. And you see, in such an instance, when you've gotten the scholarship and you only had one offer letter, it really messes you up very bad. So that is one thing I can say, like, I was risking, because my choice of universities was, well, a girl was ambitious, but like I said, imposter syndrome. I didn't so my choice of university was University of Cambridge and University of Oxford. But again, I didn't get the courage and the confidence to send my applications to these universities. That is number one. Number two, for you to submit an application to these universities, you have to pay money. I think by last year it was around 16,000 Kenyan shillings. This time it might be higher. So my thinking was, uh, first, number one, I'm not sure if I'm going to get this scholarship. Number two, I'm not investing all this money for me to uh already, like I told you, I was already struggling with my essays for Chevening, and Oxford and Cambridge. They're those top tier universities. Like, they only take, let's say, like, I think Cambridge takes 12 students per year across the world. You see, so for you to submit that application, you aufai kuwa like una shake, unafaa kuwa ule mse like, I'm applying to Cambridge and I'm getting in. You see, like 100% confidence in yourself. It doesn't need someone who's shaking, because the investment there is something. Yeah. So I didn't submit my applications for those two universities. So I was only remaining with one. And when I was shortlisted, I don't think I had not even finished. It can't given me an offer letter. I can't, no, hawakuwa wamenipatia offer letter bado. So when I got shortlisted, then it hit me, wow, I need to work on my university. So I applied to University of Sussex and University of Leeds. Then, as I continued preparing for the mock interviews, asking people questions about the interview. Actually, I was the first person to be interviewed this year. Yeah, so I asked someone, should I introduce a new university or what should I? So this person, they advised me, don't introduce a new university. That's too much work, because I was already changing my course in the University of Kent. I had chosen conservation project management. Now I wanted to do conservation biology. So I was already changing my course. So this person told me, just put University of Kent as your number one option.
Yeah.
So I was like, I followed this advice, which I normally say I'm pinching myself in the ear,
Yeah.
because what anything that could have gone. So I was moving forward with only one university with one offer letter. You see, that is trading on dangerous grounds. You actually need a minimum of two offer letters, because some universities will ask you for English test. You see, English test alone is 29,000. So if you have two offer letters, one is asking for English test and the other one is not asking for English test, and you think you can't find these 29,000, like, then you are safe. You're safe. But for me, so I had just to obey whatever University of Kent was asking me. They say they want an English test. I ask around, I try to bargain with them. Oh, I've done this, I performed, I got an A in high school. I've been taught in English. I work in a space where English is the medium of communication. They wouldn't hear any of that. So guess what? I just had to invest that 29,000 to to pay and get that done with. So then the other thing, so initially I'd applied when this person advised me not to introduce other university. I already had an offer letter from Leeds and from Sussex. You see, so but again I couldn't go back and start telling Chevening. Oh, anyway, yeah. So long story short, I was moving ahead with one university offer letter. So that way, the stress that I got, because sometimes if you place yourself in a certain space, you just have to be strong to get all the win that is to kustahimili hiyo upepo inatoka side zote. Yeah, so
Oh, I'm so sorry. That was so risky,
it
Kavutha.
was hectic for me. So my advice on that, yeah, so my advice on that, do proper research on the universities. If possible, look for universities that don't ask for all those things. the English test and all that, because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and you're not sure of this scholarship. So yes, but if you believe in yourself also,
Yeah.
and if you are passionate about a certain university, then it's okay. Just invest in, if they ask for an English test, invest in it. Yeah.
Wow.
Why I'm saying investing is because it's an investment. When you do it, it covers you for 2 years. So in case even you don't get the scholarship, the Chevening scholarship, now you can use that for other scholarship that always require the English test, and you can use it even the following year to do your applications. Yeah.
Oh, that thanks. Thank you, Kavutha. That's very um, helpful tips inside there that you wish someone had told you. For me, I
Mm,
applied to three universities. The only thing I changed was the ranking after when we're doing a call review for my essays. And when I was in the interview, they asked me the question of, do you want to change anything about your ranking and your courses? I told them the ranking I want to change. They asked why. I had to give some very solid reasons. The reasons I gave is some new information I had learned about the university I'm in right now, LACPRA, and their focus on mental health, which is a big area for me. So that's the reason I decided I'm changing up my ranking. So thank you for sharing the big risk. I think now I even appreciate that, even in bigger sense, the magnitude of the way Kent had been frustrating you. We are so delighted you finally made it. They sorted
I
it out.
know.
Kent, don't come for us. She's already in the university. So I'm really, really happy that that finally got sorted out, because had it not worked out, it means you'd not have gotten the Chevening scholarship because you hadn't even applied for the other two universities. Guys,
Yeah, imagine.
please apply to at least three universities and make sure you consider some tips and tricks to get offers. A tip I had from one of the Chevening scholars was you can pick two really good universities like Kavutha did, and one where you're certain you're gonna get through because maybe they have um, better intake rates and they have like less terms in terms of the conditions for the offer, and then pick two very, very good ones that this is your passion and your heart, you want to go there. So I
Mm,
want to read a couple of the comments that I saw. Lindiwe was saying, so there are two questions. We'll answer the questions in a few minutes, but just before that, Lindiwe was saying she learned that some partner universities have their academic applications tied to Chevening's November deadline. So you do need to begin, depending on which uni you're applying for, you need to begin the application now as you're doing the Chevening application as well. But for Kavutha and myself, we applied for Chevening, we finished, and then we applied for the universities. One issue at a time, one issue at a time. Then she said something in Lindiwe said to use the university search bar and
mm.
type Chevening to see specific information. It was a shock. You thought you would handle it in November after the Chevening deadline. So depending on the uni you want to go to, Lindiwe, you may consider doing your applications concurrently. So she quickly sent out admission applications for to check out the specifications for the deadlines and whether their application fees could be waived or not. So thank you, Lindiwe, for sharing your experience so far with the application. Kavutha, now that you're already at Kent University, thank you, Winfred, for following us from Kasarani. Let us know where you're following us from. Kavutha, now that you're in Kent, what's your hope for this year and for the Chevening year when you're at Kent?
Wow. So yeah, I'm super grateful that I made it this far actually. Yeah,
Mm,
sometimes it doesn't register. And you know, one thing I can tell you guys, hey,
yeah,
uh, writing the essays, preparing for the interview, waiting for the confirmation is only, Sarah, I can say I think 30% of the work.
yeah,
After you've been confirmed, is where now 70% of the work starts.
yeah,
Because you're completing your offer
yeah,
letter. Um, what's the next thing? Meeting all the conditions for these universities, getting unconditional offer, following up on your file, the final award letter. Okay, now after that, you need to now to go for your TB test.
mm,
Again, that is an Well, I think we need another. No, I think I'll clarify. I'll talk more about application, all
Yeah,
that. But yeah, I'm grateful,
yeah.
super, super grateful that I made it this far. And so my hope, I'm happy that some of my lecturers have had to do their wildlife research in Kenya. So what I'm looking forward is networking. I want to be able to reach to those big conservation organization and find ways and initiate programs so I can bring resources to the grassroots of conservation, which is in the community areas and community conservancies.
Ah, that's amazing. I think the fact that you're at Kent and that some of your lecturers have been to Kenya means that you have a base, you have a starting point to build those relationships and see how to translate those relationships into impact when you go back home or like back in your home country in Kenya. I'm saying your home country as if I'm not from Kenya, but back in your home country, Kavutha. Okay, so thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So there are some country-specific requirements. Lindiwe is saying that Malawians need a bachelor's, master's, and English test to do a master's. So please do some thorough research. Lindiwe, what I'm picking is that you're doing some thorough research. I want us to answer a couple of questions, and then we can do the final bit on advice to the applicants. I think you've shared a bit more of advice even as we've been doing this live. So there's some questions on at the time you were applying for Chevening, were you also applying for other scholarships?
Not really. Like I'm one person who believes in where energy goes, it grows. So I wasn't. Yeah, of course I checked. Commonwealth shared. I think that was in one of my list of the things to apply, but I wasn't sure and I believed if I put my effort and energy into one thing, then it might materialize. Yeah, so I think for one reason or the other, like
Yeah,
my whole being, my soul just was hooked on Chevening. But it's good to distribute your eggs actually. Sarah, if you can remember Grace Akinyi, she was really helpful during the mock interviews. And for her, she had also applied for other scholarships. So Chevening failed, but she got the MasterCard scholarship. So it depends. It's your personal choice.
yeah, I agree. Same case for me. I only applied for Chevening. I'm also just like you, Kabuta. One thing at a time. I can't even like do at uni application and at the Chevening application. No, the same time. No, let me just finish one thing first and then let's get on the next one. There are people that have applied for other scholarships, Commonwealth, Erasmus Mundus, Mastercard Foundation, just to mention a few in case you want to spread your bread on many waters and you don't know which waters to spread it on, you can check those out. The next question is, did you list all your work experience to meet the eligibility criteria? And if so, did you use each job listing as an example in your essays?
Mm, okay. Like I said, I've worked in a range of places since graduating in 2016. So I only gave examples of what was relevant in my field and what I want to do. But either way, if you don't have enough hours, you feel like you don't have enough hours in your career. Let's say like you've been working in something else and you only have 1 or 2 years experience in your current field, still just give. They just need to you need to show that you've been in the workplace for this long. And that is one thing that is very, 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 very critical, because for chevening, number one step after submission is that I don't know, it's a machine that runs through all the essays and filters. So if you have less hours, you are out. If you've not, yeah, don't only concentrate on the essays, even on those other parts, other information in that portal, in the simple whatever portal. be careful, like be intentional. Detail is key, because the number one step that this application goes through is the the machine selection. So you might be having good essays, but maybe you miss something in one of those details, and the machine takes you out. So detail in every step of the application. So yeah, so just list down all the work experience that you have. If you have enough experience, like enough hours in your field, then the better. So volunteer, they take volunteer internship, paid work, all that actually is allowed. So it's not only one segment, but even attachment. If your attachment in campus, it was in your field, put that in. Yeah, and also in my essays, yeah, of course, like my last two works, two jobs, like I said, is where like I had very hands-on experience in conservation. So yes, I used examples from there. But again, I think this we can talk in more details next weekend on how, where you can derive your examples of leadership, networking, and all that. We can talk about that next weekend.
Okay, we can talk about it. Uh, okay. So for me, if you want to see my Chevening journey, I already put it up on my YouTube channel. You can just go to my
Yeah.
Chevening journey and you can watch it there. And in terms of doing the homework for you, can we share a couple of unis that don't ask for all these monies? No, please do your homework. Okay, do your homework. It's you that is getting the scholarship, so please take some time and do your own homework. I also advise on personal statements when it comes to uni applications. We'll cover this next week, part one, when we'll be doing the last two questions, studying in the UK and career, your career plan. Then also you discovered some unis have school fees that are above the Chevening fee cut. Yes, please do your homework. If you're doing an MBA, the MBA Chevening has a cutoff point for how much they finance. So you have to do some research around which course are you actually doing and how much of it does Chevening support or sponsor. Chevening website has all the data that you will probably need about the application. Chevening is even hosting a live, I think, today actually and tomorrow, that you can also plug in after this one and just get informed. Chevening FCDO on Facebook, so that you can get informed about what else might be helpful as information. You can apply for Chevening Anu if you have work experience, even though you're going to be graduating. Oh, but since you're graduating in April next year, you may not be eligible because you have to upload your certification for your undergrad. Even for your university applications for your masters, you have to upload your certificate for your undergrad. So you may need to wait until next year. Then the last one, could you kindly share with me your essays? I perused through, please. I'm confidently banking you two for this. Me too. We are not gonna do that. Um,
Hey,
Mostly
do the work.
because of plagiarism. So first of all, the minute you copy paste anybody's essays, you're out. Like Kavutha said, there's a seeding criteria and it's machine. The first system is checked through, all the applications are checked through a system, an online digital system that checks out for plagiarism. And one of the biggest risks when we share our essays is that someone just copy pastes what you have written and puts it in their essay, and then they don't get in and they say, oh, guys didn't support me. No. So do your own work. And then number two is because you miss the element of telling your own story in the application, because you're telling someone's story because you're using their essays. So those are the reasons we really, really avoid sharing our essays. Most of the time, if someone shares them with you, they trust you that you're not going to plagiarize their work. So that's the biggest reason why we avoid sharing our essays with other people. Since we've already answered the questions that you guys had, I wanted to share an announcement. Next week on Saturday, we're going to be handling the first two questions: leadership in the UK and networking. So those two questions, Kavutha and I are going to be on a live on Saturday at 8 p.m. East African time, 6 p.m. British Standard Time, so that you can answer those questions for you guys. I also appreciate that you had people from different parts of the continent that may not have English as their first language or Swahili as their first language, which is our local language. So we will try and stick to speaking in English, or like just provide some translation for you guys in case you're not figuring out what we are, so that you don't lose the meaning in the translation. So on Saturday, 8 p.m. East African time, 6 p.m. British Standard Time, we'll be answering the first two questions. So if you have any questions relevant to those first two, then join us then. We'll have another one the other Saturday to answer the last two questions and the question around personal statements. So this was for Kavutha to tell us a little bit about herself so that you can hear her journey and see where you might be if you're considering applying for Chevening and what your journey might actually look like. In terms of availability to do reviews, Kavutha, are you available to review people's essays?
I think if you're in the wildlife conservation sector, I can review. That one is easier for me. That one I can commit to.
Okay. All right. Okay. So for me, no, I'm not available to review any essays, mostly because this is how I'm choosing to give back by organizing the lives for as many people as possible to get as much access to information. And the other way I'm choosing to give back is by matching scholars that have been signing up and registering with applicants that are actually considering applying for the scholarship. We've matched a couple so far. We've matched seven. I think we had five scholars and we matched them to seven applicants. Right now, the ones we've gotten, we're actually matching them with two each. So I'm not going to be taking any reviews for now until maybe after Saturday. I'll probably have an announcement to the guys that will have signed up before ahead of time. But for now, no. However, that doesn't mean that because the two of us are not able to do it, okay, because I'm not able to do it, Kavutha is in conservation, wildlife conservation or conservation in general, or particularly. If you're not in that field, then please, Chevening FCDO is your friend. Go there and follow because they share a lot of tips there. Number two is just search for Chevening applicants 2023-2024 on Facebook, or 2024-2025 on Facebook. You're going to get a lot of other people that are looking to apply for Chevening this year. Number three, go to LinkedIn and just do a simple Chevening Scholar 2022 going backwards. And you'll see as many scholars from the previous years that may actually be able to help you with your application, so that you're not feeling like, the only people I know can't help me, so this thing I should just give up. No. So that would be the
Yeah.
input I'd have. Kavutha, over back to you for some final closing remarks and then we'll end.
Number one, like I said, believe in yourself and be willing to do the work. This win is going to be yours. So if you have, and be with, just have people around you who are willing to help you, because if you start the journey of going to Mombasa, you've decided you are walking to Mombasa, don't get to Mlolongo and someone tells you, oh, okay, no, I think let's let's get here in SGR and see how SGR works. No, focus. You see, if that person doesn't want to work with you, drop them. I tell you, there are millions of Cheveners out here who are willing to help applicants. So this is going to be your win. Visualize where you want to be in the next 1 year. You see, you see us here and you think, it must be easy. If Janet got it, then of course it's easy, you can get it, but bottom line, I can say the basic things: believe in yourself and be willing to do the work. That is what I can say for now. Believe in yourself and be willing to do the work and focus. This is your win. Don't be, if you send someone your essays, they refuse to review, drop them, go to the next person. Don't be out here making complaining, oh, people don't review essays. These people owe you nothing, by the way. And for someone to commit their time to review your essays, that's a very big thing. So don't be a complaining person. They don't like reviewing essays. They told me this, they told me this. Someone helping you is not what do we call it? It's not mandatory that you're going to get. Yeah. So it's you. Just look inwards and work on you believing in yourself, because that is the baseline of everything. Then, so number two, what I will say, there are people who wrote essays even without having people review essays for them, and they got in. So yeah, believe in yourself. And one thing I can also say is that go to YouTube, to Cynthia, search Cynthia Kimola and Samuel Wairimu. Those are for people who you can relate with. I'm talking out to Kenyans. Cynthia Kimola and Samuel Wairimu. They talk about their journey, and actually they talk about how to structure this leadership essay, how to structure networking, how to have those how to arrange your examples to fit in. So I know people who have simply followed Cynthia Kimola and Sam Wairimu and got in without even having anyone review their essays. So just gauge yourself. Are you someone who, at the level where you are, if you need more people to support you, then that's good. But gauging on your level where you are, if you yourself, I know people who applied 2 weeks to the deadline, they didn't have anyone review, they submitted and they were shortlisted, and they got 1 or 2 people to do their mock interview with them, and they got in. So there's no formula to this thing. You just have to assess yourself. Okay, where I am now, I will need someone to talk to me about what is happening in my field. What are the challenges? How can we solve them? Developing your personal story, your own story, that is the baseline of the application, actually. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Kavutha, for your final thoughts. I'll also say that on the video that I did on my Chevening journey, is it that one or the tips for applying? The tips for applying for Chevening. I've actually plugged the two people that one of the people, Cynthia, that Kavutha has mentioned, who's Kenyan. I've also plugged a couple of people that are Nigerian, so that in the description of the video, so you can just click on the video that's there, go to their YouTube channel, and you'll find a wealth of resource that can also be helpful for you. And we are wishing you the very best. We are cheering you on. We are hoping that you succeed and make like the most stellar competitive application, and that you also believe that you can get through. Thank you for joining our YouTube live. If you would consider subscribing to my channel, it would be amazing. I'd be glad to have you on here, as I also create content around other things. But aside from that, I'll be seeing you guys together with Kavutha. We'll be seeing you on Saturday, 8 p.m. East African time, 6 p.m. British Standard Time, this coming Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Oh my God, it's not even it's not even with Friday, it's actually Tuesday.
It's not weekend
Enjoy
yet.
your week. Enjoy your week, and we shall be seeing each other on Saturday. Thank you so much for being here. Mutua, as we are leaving, I am at Loughborough University. It is spelled
How life, that shows you
borough.
how life is good. Yeah. Sarah already thinks Tuesday
I'm
is a
telling you.
weekend.
Guys, thank you and see you again very, very soon. All right.
Okay, bye guys. All the best in this process.